Good morning everyone, welcome to the class. Today we will talk something about Kuchipudi dance dramas in detail. Among all the classical dances of India, Kuchipudi has a balanced mix of both drama and dance. The plays are predominantly in Telugu language, although in recent times other languages have also been incorporated. The unique aspect of how Kuchipudi makes a fine dance drama is the fine blending of nritta or pure dance, nritya or dance in the form of expressions, natya or acting. Additionally, Vachika Abhinaya is predominant in Kuchipudi, where the dancer sings and dances along with the musicians. In addition to dance dramas, Kuchipudi has a vast array of solo performances as well as which are usually added as additional items in a dance drama. Kuchipudi is a classical dance form that originated from the state of Earth-West Andhra Pradesh. It is said that this art form came as a revelation to a Brahmin called Siddhendra Yogi, who was known as Siddhappa. Siddhappa used to sleep inside the premises of the Srikakulam Math run by Sri Narhari Tirtha after watching the all-night dance performances on Lord Krishna. Once he was woken up by a dream of Lord Krishna dancing on him. Disturbed and unable to find Krishna, he was consoled by Sri Narhari Tirtha, who dispatched him to Udupi for religious initiation. While in Udupi, Siddhappa learned the Shastras and Vedas and was apt at dancing. Upon returning to his native village, his marriage was arranged. During the journey to meet the newly wedded wife, he got caught in the floods of Krishna river and prayed to Lord Krishna that he will become a sannyasi if his life is spared from the floods. Miraculously, he escapes unscathed from the floods and met his wife. However, upon seeing him, Siddhappa's wife cried out, "Sannyasi, sannyasi." Immediately, Siddhappa realized his vow that he gave to Lord Krishna, and he sang in praise of the Lord, where he had a vision of Krishna with Satyabhama. After renunciation, he came to be known as Siddhendra Yogi and founded the Bhama cult of worship, where the Madhura Bhakti predominates in every action. In the Bhama cult, the performer places himself in the position of Satyabhama, who was feeling the pangs of separation or viraha. Thus, he composed the Bhama Kalapam, a hallmark of Kuchipudi. To maintain the purity of the dance, he inducted only young Brahmin boys to learn Bhama Kalapam. The boys in turn promised that every newborn male in their family will continue this tradition, and thus a male child in the village of Kuchipudi wears a bell on his waist as a mark of the devotion and promise. He then took those boys to a waste piece of land and made them settle there. In Andhra, such performing and travelling players are called as Kuchelu, and the occupied piece of land came to be known as Kuchilapuri. Thus, the village of Kuchipudi is thought of as a name derived from Kuchilapuri. Kuchipudi repertory. Kuchipudi originally glorifies Krishna cult, which was propagated by Narhari Tirtha as he brought Geet Govind of Jayadeva to Andhra. Even before Siddhendra Yogi composed Bhama Kalapam, dance dramas were popular. For example, Shri Krishna Jayakrida, a dance drama composed by Gopalakrishna Saraswati, a disciple of Narhari Tirtha, were danced by Devdasi and Raj Nartakis of Sri Kakkalum. When looking into the repertory of Kuchipudi since the days of Vijayanagara Empire, one of the oldest work is Krishna Lila Tarangini by Tirth Narayan, who was a disciple of Siddhendra Yogi. This work is in Sanskrit and is considered as one of the longest operas in Sanskrit language. It is a biography of Lord Krishna from his birth until his marriage to Rukmini. This is a dance to showcase the virtuosity of the dancer. Specifically, when the Balagopala Tarangam is performed, the dancer holds a pot of water on his head and dances with the feet on the rims of a brass plate. The Tarangam describes the well known incidents in the childhood of Krishna. This Tarangam is very famous and hugely popular. The Nritya or the dance with the expressional part of Kuchipudi has compositions such as Padams, Shabdams and Shlokams. Shabdas are solo performances that depict mythological stories in dance form. They are composed in a musical style called Pathya and combines verses that are recited, rhythmic syllables and song. In the Padams or love songs, the dancer dances to Ashtapadis of Jayadeva's Geet Govind, Padams of Kshetriya or Kshetragna. Sometimes they perform to Leela Shuka's Krishna Karna Mitram. Shlokams are predominantly Abhinaya filled pieces that dancers perform while sitting. The songs are usually in Vipralamba Shringara, where the Naika is in Viraha due to a temporary separation. Among the most famous Shabdas that are frequently performed are Manduka Shabda or the dance of the female frog, where it describes of how a female frog emerges from the pond as the beautiful princess Mandodari, who is carried off to Lanka by Ravana as his queen. It is a piece with juggling of words that mimic the sounds made by frogs in a rainy day. Another Manduka Shabdam exists that is related to Gajendra Moksha story. This is composed by Melatur Kashinathya. Dashavatara Shabda or the dance of Vishnu's 10 incarnations. There are two versions of Dashavatara Shabda that are performed. One is by the Jayadeva of Geet Govind, where instead of Krishna, Balarama is the eighth avatar. Since Jayadev considers Lord Krishna as the supreme personality. The other Dashavatara Shabda is composed by Siddha Batula Rangados of Peda Puli Varu. The Shabda is intermingled with song and action depicting the events that led to the incarnations. This Shabdam is considered quite important that the Kuchipudi performance is incomplete without performing this Shabda. Krishna Shabdam is from the dance drama Usha Parinayam, where the Naika is waiting for Lord Krishna to visit her. Prahlada Shabdam, composed by Melatur Venkatarama Shastri, depicts the story of Prahlada from the Bhagavatam. There are nearly 20 Shabdams in Kuchipudi repertory that also includes compositions in praise of kings such as Tulajaji Shabdam, composed on the Tanjore ruler Tulajaji or Tukhoji, Sharabhoji Shabdam on Tanjore ruler Sarfoji, Shivaji Shabdam on the Maratha ruler Shivaji, Thadi Shabdam on the Kalahasti kings. The format of a traditional Kuchipudi dance drama has changed little with time. Other than the timing and the venue, the rest of the repertory has the major elements preserved even today. Earlier, the Kuchipudi was an all-night event that was staged on an improvised stage in front of the temple and the audience sat on the ground. A multicolored curtain or the tirasela was held by two dancers and the principal character is on the other side of the curtain, and at the correct time the curtain is removed to make a dramatic effect. Earlier, the torch bearers who hold the curtain, and as an additional dramatic effect, resin powder was thrown on the flame to bring a flash of light, simultaneously removing the curtain. Before this, the Sutradhara or the narrator enters the stage dressed royally and addresses the audience and recites the invocation. A Ranga Puja is conducted where the Indra's flag staff is set up on stage and the deities of the stage are worshipped with offerings of fruits and flowers. As with any Hindu ritual, Lord Ganesh is invoked to bless the performers. where a dancer wearing a Ganesh mask enters the stage and blesses the performers. Thus, the dance drama of Kuchipudi begins with the Sutradhara starting the play. Each character or the character of the dance drama is introduced via an introductory song called Pravesha Daruvu. The Daruvus of Bhamakalapam are quite famously used in solo performances. Some Kuchipudi dance dramas are the Ramanatakam, Rukmini Kalyanam, Prahlada Charitram, Banasur, Bhamakalapam, Usha Parinayam, Shashi Rekha Parinayam, Mohini Rukmangada, Harshchandra Nataka, Gaya Natakam, Gaya Pakhayam, Parvati Kalyanam, Dakshayagnam, Mohini Bhasmasur, Mahisasur Mardini and Almelu Manga Vilasam. These dance dramas are based on text and manuscripts that have been passed from guru to disciples. Siddhendra Yogi, as mentioned earlier, composed Bhamakalapam, which was previously known as Parijatam or Parijata Praharana. Bhamakalapam is about how Satyabhama pursues Lord Krishna to bring her the Parijata tree. One of the important adornments of Bhamakalapam is the jada or the braid ornament. It is said that the braid was worn by Lord Vishnu when he took the form of Mohini. After Mohini resumed the role of Vishnu during Krishna Avtara, he gave the braid to Satyabhama. The ornament is made out of soft and easily chiseled wood such as punugu and bedia. Colored glass pieces are stuck to the ornament and gold lacquer is painted as well. This braid has several parts from the rakodi till the kunjalam and is linked together with the black thread as a single piece. The symbolism behind the braid and its accessories is that it represents the universe, where there is a plate to represent the sun to the left of the braid and to the right is another plate to represent the moon. A parrot representing nature is mounted to the part where the braid is connected to the forehead. The back begins with the hood of a 5-headed serpent indicating supreme knowledge. Below these are 27 pieces of ornaments representing the 27 stars of Indian astronomy. At the end of the braid are the 3 spherical bunches, the kunjalam representing the 3 worlds, and from each of the 3 bunches hung another set of 3 making a total of 9 representing the 9 planets. During the performance, the performer is behind the curtain held by 2 dancers and the braid is thrown on the other side of the curtain so that only the braid is visible to the audience. The performer who plays Satyabhama challenges among the audience to outperform him. If anyone accepts the challenge and outperforms the one who challenged, then the braid is cut off and taken as a trophy. The story of Bhamakalapam is simple at the outset. Satyabhama enters the stage, Bhamane Satyabhamane, and is described as a confident young woman, that is a Swadhinapatika Naika. Krishna looks into a mirror and asks her who is most beautiful between him and her. Forgetting the Lord Krishna is the Supreme Personality, Satyabhama in a moment of vanity declares her as the most beautiful. Krishna is offended by her ignorance and vanity and leaves her place to return back to his abode. Satyabhama, now repentful, realizes that she is of no significance without Krishna. She confides to her friend Madhavi and recounts the incident and begs Madhavi to go as a messenger and make her unite with Krishna. Satyabhama writes a letter to Lord Krishna and sends it via Madhavi, who delivers it. Seeing Satyabhama's repentance, Lord Krishna forgives her and they are reunited once again. The symbolism of this story is that Satyabhama represents the Jivatma, which is clouded by Maya and thinks that it is most supreme than the Paramatma or Lord Krishna. The Jivatma forgets that it was due to the Paramatma that is existed in this world, and the ultimate purpose of the Jivatma is the union with the Paramatma. Due to avidya or ignorance, there is a discontent between these two, which can be reconciled only with the help of a spiritual guru or Madhvi, who is the Sakhi. The late Vedantam Satyanarayan Sharma was world famous as the foremost performer who perfected the role of Satyabhama in Bhama Kalapam. He had perfected it so much so that in 1960s he was acclaimed in the Kuchipudi world as an artist par excellence. Gola Kalapam. Inspired by Bhama Kalapam, Bhagavatar Thulu Ramaya Shastri composed Gola Kalapam. Gola meaning cowherd and Gola Bhama meaning the milkmaid is the central character who has a conversation with a Brahmin about the Indian philosophy and spirituality. It is a clever representation of how a milkmaid indulges in a harmonious banter and challenging the knowledgeable Brahmin. The simple representations of complex thoughts in this format found favor with the masses. Gola Kalapam is also known as Gopika Vipra Sambhashanam or Gopika Vipra Samvada. The milkmaid and the Brahmin indulge in two complex concepts called as Pindothapati and Yagnapattu. It is probably a fine example of a performance where the depiction needs to introduce and explain a complex philosophical thought process without going overboard with Vachika Abhinaya. Unlike Bhama Kalapam, there are only two characters in this, while the Brahmin's words are replete with ornate words that showcase his mastery over scholarly text. The milkmaid's words, in contrast, are in simple Telugu, depicting the sweetness of rural areas. Starting from the Patra Pravesham of both the milkmaid and the Brahmin, the conversation leads to birth and death of mankind. For each reasoning, the Brahmin gives the milkmaid, counters it with a superior argument. At the end, the milkmaid justifies that one does not attain salvation or moksha just by virtue of being born in a particular caste or family, but only by true devotion to the Paramatma. This dance drama is understandably popular in rural areas of Andhra and is not frequently performed in the cities. Gola Kalapam is an invaluable and a spectacular piece of wit, spontaneity, improvisation and linguistic capabilities. An earlier version of Gola Kalapam was written in the 18th century by poetess Tarigonda Vengamamba. However, the standard text that is performed today is by Bhagavathulu Ramaya's version. While many Kuchipudi gurus have choreographed dance dramas in the style of Kuchipudi, there is none to match the creative genius of Vempati Chinna Satyam's dance dramas. Vempati Chinna Satyam, along with S.V. Bhujangara Sharma, who scripted the dance dramas, and P. Sangeet Rao, who set the musical score for Vempati Chinna Satyam's plays, made a team that created unforgettable dance dramas that are still popular. Starting with Sri Krishna Parijatam, Vempati Chinna Satyam choreographed 15 dance dramas. They are Chandalika, Kshirshagara Mathanam, Vipra Narayana Charitra, Menaka Vishwamitram, Shakuntalam, Padmavati Srinivas Kalyanam, Rukmini Kalyanam, Haravilasam, Ramayanam, Ardhanareshwam, Abhigna Shakuntalam, Shri Pada Parijatam, Kirata Junyam and Gopika Krishna. He also choreographed two dance dramas in Tamil language, Kumara Sambhavam and Srinivasa Kalyanam. Keeping with his times and also preserving a tradition, Vempati Chinna Satyam brought in changes in his work which not only was well appreciated, it was also path breaking. His dance dramas had more physical action. Thereby, characters can be distinguished by the audience with their Angika Abhinaya. He deviated from the early tradition of dancers speaking the dialogue directly. Rather, he had his vocalist do the recitations of prose. The third deviation Vempati Chinna Satyam initiated was that the performers were all female. Unlike the traditional Kuchipudi dance drama where males donned the role of females, Vempati Chinna Satyam had to stop relying upon unpredictable male actors and more on his students in the city who were mostly female and could guarantee a successful production. Another change brought in by him is the use of suitable dance music which was set in pure classical style, but the rag and tal was depending on the character and the scene. At the same time, he and his music composer P. Sangeeta Rao experimented with dance music like introducing Hindustani ragas, use of folk tunes, etc. His major contribution has been documented as use of symbolic and dancers as decor and props as visual imaginary to show mountains, animals or fire. For example, in Padmavati Srinivasa Kalyanam, he had brought a cow and a calf with 4 artists and draped them in white cloth with cow mask and tails. The actions of the cow were choreographed to gel with the actions of the milkmaid. Similarly, in Haravilasam at Daksha's Yagna, when Sati immolates herself in the fire, instead of props showing flames, he had a set of dancers dressed completely in red and engulfing her in a circle were made to throw their hands and fluttering them. This experiment was applauded and appreciated by others for his keen visual aesthetics. Not only with Natya, he also made innovations in Abhinaya choreography where his creativity can be seen. He refused to tread the off-beaten path of enacting the words and miming the Sahitya. Instead, he innovated the Abhinaya by going deeper into the poet's point of view and understanding the milieu of the song. For example, the choreography of Kshira Sagara Sayana of Saint Tyagaraja consisted of correlating the song with one of the events in the saint's life. The story is that the image of Lord Ram, Sita and Lakshmana that the saint worships every day disappears mysteriously. Unable to bear the separation and thinking that the idol must be in the Karve river, he jumps into the swirling waters without fear. Suddenly he spots the idol lying in riverbed and under the water. Finding the idol, he is ecstatic and he sings the song spontaneously. The choreography was thus had a fresh feel with an appropriate backstory that the audiences were able to understand easily.